On a cold winter night, when the snowstorm raged like a beast, a lone farmer came across a broken-down car, its passengers huddled together in desperation. A mother, father, and child, trapped by the storm, were about to change his life forever. Hello everyone, welcome to Mystical Tales. Today I'm sharing a brand new story with you, so let's get started. Samuel was a simple, hard-working man who lived on the outskirts of a small town, far from the hustle and bustle of city life. His days were spent on the farm, tending to his fields, fixing fences, and caring for his animals. The quiet was both a comfort and a burden ever since his wife passed away a year ago. The silence of his home felt more like a heavy weight than a peaceful retreat. Samuel had always been a man of strong moral duty, believing that helping others was the right thing to do. But the loneliness that had taken hold of him made him question his own need for connection. Still, he was the type of man who couldn't ignore someone in need, even if it came at a personal cost. That night, as he walked through the thick snow, he spotted a broken-down car off the side of the road. He paused, the cold biting into him as he studied the scene. The family inside was clearly stranded, vulnerable in the storm. Samuel's first instinct was to offer help, but doubt quickly crept in. The storm was treacherous, and helping strangers in such conditions could be risky. It would be easy to keep walking, to ignore the situation and retreat to the safety of his farmhouse. But deep down, Samuel knew he couldn't leave them out there. After a long, hesitant moment, he made up his mind. He couldn't walk away. He had to help. Samuel made his way to the broken-down car, the snow crunching under his boots. He could see the family inside, shivering and struggling to stay warm. The mother was holding her child tightly, while the father looked worried and restless. Samuel didn't hesitate. He knew they needed help. Without asking too many questions, he spoke gently, offering them shelter in his farmhouse. "Come with me," Samuel said. "It's not safe out here in this storm. I've got a warm fire waiting for you." The family seemed relieved but hesitant. They didn't argue, though, and quietly got out of the car, thanking Samuel as they followed him toward his farmhouse. Samuel led them inside, where the warmth of the fire greeted them. He made sure they were comfortable, offering them blankets and food, trying to ease their worries. However, as the storm continued to rage outside, Samuel noticed something strange. The father avoided looking him in the eye, always looking down or off to the side, as if he didn't want to make any kind of connection. The mother, though grateful, seemed on edge. She kept glancing around, her eyes constantly darting to the windows, as if she was expecting someone or something to show up at any moment. The child, a young boy, clutched a worn-out teddy bear tightly in his arms. He whispered softly to it, almost as if the bear were alive, and Samuel couldn't help but notice the oddness in his behavior. The boy's whispers seemed too serious for his age, like he was telling the bear secrets only it could understand. Samuel tried not to draw attention to it, but a feeling of unease began to grow inside him. What was it they were hiding? Why did they seem so anxious and secretive, even after being offered shelter and safety? Inside the farmhouse, Samuel did his best to make the family feel comfortable. He stoked the fire, prepared some food, and gave them blankets to warm up. But as the hours passed, something didn't feel right. Samuel began to notice a few odd things about the family's behavior. The father, instead of sitting with them and resting, kept getting up and going outside to the tool shed. He would stay out there for a while, rummaging through things as if he was looking for something specific. Samuel didn't want to pry, but it seemed strange. Why wasn't he relaxing after such a long, cold night? Meanwhile, the mother seemed unusually protective of a small locked bag. She kept it close to her, never letting it out of her sight. When Samuel offered to help her with the bag or take it to a safe place, she declined quickly, her hands clutching it tightly. It was clear she didn't want anyone touching it. Samuel wondered what could possibly be inside that she was so determined to protect. Then there was the child. The little boy had stopped playing with his teddy bear and was now whispering softly to it. At first, Samuel thought it was just a child's imagination, but the whispers grew louder, and Samuel started to hear strange phrases. He caught words like, "We can't let him know and they can't find us." Samuel's stomach tightened. The boy seemed so serious, as if he wasn't just talking to a toy, but rather confiding in someone or something. A sense of unease grew inside Samuel. The family seemed like they were hiding something dangerous, maybe even criminal. He couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't just a family stranded in a snowstorm, but were running from something. Something far more serious than the storm outside. As the night went on, Samuel's curiosity and concern grew stronger. He couldn't ignore the strange behavior of the family any longer. He decided it was time to ask the father what was really going on. Samuel waited until the father came back inside from the tool shed. He looked him in the eye and asked bluntly, "What are you running from?" His voice was calm but firm, and he hoped the father would finally open up. The father paused, looking down at the ground. He seemed unsure, his eyes shifting nervously. For a moment, it felt like he was going to keep the secret, but then he sighed deeply, as if the weight of his fear had finally become too much. He looked up at Samuel, his face full of worry and exhaustion. "We're running from a loan shark," the father confessed quietly. "A man who won't stop until he gets what we owe him." Samuel was shocked. He didn't expect that answer. The father continued, his voice shaking slightly as he explained, "We borrowed money a long time ago, and we couldn't pay it back. The man started coming after us, threatening us. And now we're just trying to get away before he finds us." Samuel's eyes widened as he listened. He didn't expect to hear something like this. But as the father spoke, the tension in the room seemed to lessen, and Samuel began to understand the desperation the family must have felt. Then, the father looked at the locked bag the mother had been protecting all night. He sighed and said, "There's nothing illegal in there. It's just the last of our valuables, things we couldn't leave behind. And the child's favorite books. He won't go anywhere without them." Samuel's heart softened. The family wasn't hiding anything dangerous. They were just trying to survive, holding on to the few things they had left. The storm outside seemed less important now, and Samuel realized they were escaping something far more dangerous than the weather. Despite hearing their frightening story, Samuel didn't hesitate for long. He could see the fear in their eyes and the exhaustion in their faces. He understood what it was like to feel trapped, to have nowhere else to turn. Even though helping them could bring trouble to his doorstep, Samuel's sense of kindness and duty won over any fear he had. "I'll help you," Samuel said, his voice steady and firm. "You can stay here until the storm clears. No one should be out there in that kind of weather. You'll be safe here." The family looked at him with a mixture of relief and gratitude. The father nodded slowly, clearly thankful but still worried about the risks. The mother whispered a quiet "thank you," her eyes softening for the first time that night. The child, holding his teddy bear close, smiled just a little. Samuel didn't stop there. He knew that just offering shelter wasn't enough. He couldn't send them on their way without any help. He went to his small savings and took out a few bills. "Here," he said, handing them some money. "This should help with your journey when you're ready to leave. You can't go empty-handed." The father hesitated for a moment, clearly not wanting to take too much, but Samuel insisted, "Take it. It's the least I can do." Samuel also made sure they had enough food and blankets to last them through the night. He set them up in the warmest corner of the farmhouse, making sure they were comfortable and safe. As he saw the family settle in, Samuel felt a quiet satisfaction. He knew that despite the risks, he had done the right thing. The storm outside howled, but inside the farmhouse, there was warmth not just from the fire, but from the kindness that filled the space. Samuel wasn't just offering shelter, he was offering them a chance to escape a nightmare. Something he knew all too well. The next morning, the storm had finally slowed down. The family packed their things, ready to leave. As they were getting ready to go, the child walked up to Samuel. He held out a crumpled letter and said softly, "This is for you." Samuel was surprised but took the letter. The family said their goodbyes, and Samuel watched them leave, disappearing into the snow. After they were gone, he sat down and opened the letter. It was from the father. As Samuel read, he learned something surprising. The letter explained that the mother used to live in this area many years ago. She had been a nurse and had once helped Samuel's late wife during an emergency. Unfortunately, she couldn't save her in the end, but she had tried her best. The letter ended with a simple but powerful message: "Your kindness brought us hope," just like she did. Samuel's heart skipped a beat as he read those words. He had no idea the mother had a connection to his wife. It made him realize how small the world really was and how kindness, no matter where it comes from, can bring hope to those who need it most. Samuel stood by the door, watching the family disappear into the snowy distance. The wind howled, and the snowflakes danced in the cold air, but Samuel couldn't stop thinking about the letter and what he had just learned. As he watched them go, he realized something important. Helping the family had brought back memories of his late wife. Her kindness and care had once helped someone else, just like he had helped them. It was a reminder that even in the toughest times, love and kindness can connect us all, even to strangers. In helping others, Samuel discovered more than just a secret. He found a connection to the past, a reminder of the love and compassion his wife had shown. Sometimes, strangers are closer to us than we think. Do you believe in fate or coincidence? Could this story be a twist of fate, or just a series of random events? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more heartwarming tales.